So if you're wondering what's on my mind today, I'm thinking about how government can get away with practically anything and not get in trouble. Are you wondering why President Trump hasn't been touched? Are you wondering why the Constitution is able to be so easily subverted to fit the means of the government that's in power? Qualified immunity. It needs to go. We have too many people that use that as a cloak to get away with anything they want to, thinking that that's going to protect them from justice. It's not protecting anybody like the average people, it's protecting government officials. So, if they're able to file pardons, then we're able to remove qualified immunity. And if they're doing it wrongly, then it's time to say, hey, guess what? You face time if you do that. We should not be having a two-tier justice system. One for the people, one for people serving in government. It doesn't work like that. The Constitution is clear. Equal rights apply to everybody. Qualified immunity does not work. Qualified immunity is just a way to circumvent the law, to overthrow power, and to speak lies to the people and not be held accountable. The people know, and the people listen. And they're not stupid, they're not ignorant, they know what's going on. So, President Trump, the 47th President of the United States, Pamela Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, and so many more will finally face justice once we remove the Qualified Immunity Act. And so will a lot of other people, because I think that if we go back 10 years of presidential elections, there's a few other people that will go to jail for their behavior in the system. For the first time, they won't have qualified immunity where they can't be touched. They're going to have qualified immunity to where you can practically put your hand on them and throw them in a jail cell. Mr. Presidents, I warn you. I give you a stern, fair warning. Either follow the Constitution or follow your way to a jail cell, because that is where this is coming to. Qualified immunity needs to be removed, the evidence needs to lay itself out, and justice needs to prevail. For the first time, there will be no circumventing of the justice system. There will be no, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Well, guess what? You didn't mean to do it, but you're going to go to jail for it. You do wrong by the Constitution, you go to jail. No more two-tier justice system. It's justice for all or justice for none. If we're going to give government officials immunity automatically as they get sworn into office, then the justice system doesn't work. Mr. Trump, Donald John Trump, you and your cabinet have gone through and gutted the very foundation of the Constitution. You and your cabinet, like Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, Kristi Noem, Pamela Bondi, and a lot more, have done worse to America than any president in history. And when it's all said and done, the immunity clause, when it's removed, there will be legal action taken to invoke an investigation into your behavior. And you will face, I am 100% sure, that once the immunity clause is removed, a lot of people in Congress, a lot of people in Senate, a lot of people in key government positions will face significant jail time. And no judge is going to overlook the evidence. No judge is going to say, well, that's not admissible in court, when in reality it is very admissible in court because it is evidence. It is evidence to misconduct of the Constitution. It is evidence to the Bill of Rights that applies to everyone, not just select groups. This is justice for all, not justice for some. I beg the United States Supreme Court to remove qualified immunity from all government offices until such time as honest government officials are elected to office and read the Constitution and don't try to subvert it with their own interpretations of law. That is not justice. That is a way to cover up a lie. That is a way to cover up misinformation. That is a way to let people get away with murder. That is a way for government officials to never face prosecution because of qualified immunity acts in the United States that don't need to be there. There is no way, no figuratively way to accept qualified immunity as a legal jurisprudence action. Mr. Donald John Trump, you are the first of many presidents, not just you, but 10 years of presidential power will be reviewed once the qualified immunity is removed. And some of you might find yourself in a very unhappy position of power, sitting behind a jail cell. Some of you might find that very uncomfortable, and some Republicans and Democrats will be returning to their unhappy place of jail time. When the Constitution is read, it is not meant to edit or subvert in your own language to try and stay free of the justice system. Attorneys who do that need to be thrown in jail, need to have the keys taken away, and there needs to be no debate. If you subvert the Constitution to make your own law interpretations, it's time to end the mockery. The hypocrisy here is that a government that is immune from prosecution is basically immune from the murder. That's like saying a president can murder somebody and he won't be touched because he has immunity. That's like saying if he buys pot, he's immune from prosecution of drug charges. No. It is time to take away qualified immunity and let the immunity clause stand for what it means. If you're innocent and not guilty, then enact a immunity clause where they can't come back on you again. But if evidence shows clearly that you did wrong while in office of any branch of any government, of any part of the United States government, you will face the maximum jail time allowed under the Constitution. And there will be no questions, no immunity clause invoked. You will go directly to jail, and that is where you will sit until your time is served. It don't matter what one president will do for another. The Pardon Act by a president will be removed. All criminal and justice cases will be reviewed, and the proper actions will be taken to make sure justice is served. So, no more qualified immunity, no more speaking out of line, no more subverting the Constitution, and no more loopholes by attorneys to try and get out of trouble. If you're using qualified immunity as a loophole, stop digging, because it's time to take it away. It's time to shut down the very foundation of murder that is happening to our Constitution. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you. Justice for all. And may God love you and serve you kindly. Amen.